Missouri Stable Income Fund is what is known as a stable value investment option. So what is stable value? Stable value is a generally lower risk fixed income investment option. Stable value is an investment vehicle offered by defined contribution retirement savings plans, like MO Deferred Comp, and is utilized by participants in those plans. In fact, nearly 40% of participants' assets in the MO Deferred Comp Plan are in the Missouri Stable Income Fund, with over 80% of those assets being held by retired state employee participants. Stable value investment options are not available in a mutual fund form or available for investment in individual retirement accounts. Stable value provides the following benefits to investors: preservation of principal, relatively stable returns in changing market environments, returns similar to intermediate bond funds with the liquidity and certainty of money market funds, but without the return volatility of a bond fund. To illustrate, the following graph provides the last 10 calendar years of returns from the Missouri Stable Income Fund, the broad U.S. bond market index, and the 1 to 3 year U.S. Treasury bond index. The Missouri Stable Income Fund has provided a competitive return while not being subject to the volatility of returns that were experienced in other bond investments. Stable value funds are comprised of two components: an underlying high-quality fixed income bond portfolio managed within a short to intermediate duration range, known as the market value of the portfolio, and an investment wrap contract issued by an insurance company that provides principal preservation, known as the book value. The book value is the initial deposited principal, plus accumulated interest, plus additional deposits, minus withdrawals and expenses. The underlying bond portfolio value, or market value, can fluctuate daily based on the price of the short to intermediate term bonds in the portfolio. The investment wrap contract, the vehicle providing book value, smooths the interest earned by participants by amortizing the gains and losses of the underlying bonds through the crediting rate. The crediting rate is calculated based on the characteristics of the underlying bond portfolio, specifically the yield to maturity and duration, as well as the ratio of the market value divided by book value, or the market to book value ratio. The Missouri Stable Income Fund's underlying bond investments consist of mortgage and asset-backed securities, corporate bonds, U.S. Treasury bonds, and cash. Stable value funds provide a competitive positive return during both falling and rising interest rate environments relative to money market funds, short-term bond funds, and certificates of deposit. So how has the Missouri Stable Income stacked up to CDs? The following table provides Missouri Stable Income calendar year returns compared to the national cap 12-month and 5-year rates over the past 10 years. Given the illiquidity and lockup periods associated with CDs, the Missouri Stable Income has provided higher return potential with liquidity. Can you lose money in the Stable Income Fund? Stable value has a long track record of preserving capital, providing liquidity, and generating steady positive returns, but any investment option is subject to general investment risk, and there is no guarantee that it will achieve its objectives. Stable value, like other fixed income investments, can be subject to the same risks, such as credit risk, default risk, interest rate risk, liquidity risk, manager risk, cash flow risk, and event risk. Rising interest rates, bond yield curve changes, and other market dislocations will continue to come and go in the future, but for almost 40 years, stable value funds have delivered principal preservation and steady, consistent, conservative returns comparable to those of short to intermediate bonds with limited volatility. The current Missouri Stable Income rate can be found in a couple different spots on www.modeferredcomp.org. The first spot can be found by hovering over how it works in the menu and clicking on Investments. Then click the Missouri Stable Income Fund dropdown and view the quarterly fact sheet. You can also find it by clicking on Participant Updates under Latest News in the menu.